All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into home healthcare,
Okay.
and specifically with a company in Virginia called Hi-Pointe Care Solutions.
Sounds good.
Now, home healthcare, some people might think, oh, that sounds kind of clinical, but
Yeah.
the story of this organization is really anything but.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're gonna look into what makes them tick,
Okay.
and what kind of impact they're having out there.
Yeah. And what really stood out to me going through all this material was just how much they're focused on not just like the medical side of things, but
Yeah.
like really improving quality of life for patients and their families.
It's a very holistic approach,
Yeah.
and the website has just tons of information.
Mhm.
I mean, they really go in depth on their different services.
They do.
They have these amazing client testimonials.
Yeah.
Really heartwarming to read.
Yeah.
But what I'm really curious about is, like, how did this all begin?
Well, that's a great question. And I think that, a good place to start is with the founder's story. She had a son, Jordan,
Okay.
who was medically fragile and actually was recommended for institutionalization.
Wow.
But she really advocated for him to get care at home.
I can only imagine what a journey that must have been.
Oh, absolutely. And she saw firsthand the improvement he made
Really?
in that kind of familiar and loving environment.
Wow.
And I think it was through that experience that she kind of realized other families must be going through something similar
Yeah.
and really deserve that same opportunity.
Yeah, that's amazing. So from this, kind of one mother's determination,
Right.
this whole organization that's dedicated to personalized home care was born.
Exactly. And I think that you can really see that personal touch in everything they do.
Okay.
I mean, for example, one of the things that they really emphasize is matching caregivers to individual needs.
Interesting.
So whether that's, round-the-clock care, end-of-life support,
Wow.
or even live-in assistance.
Now, hold on. Live-in assistance.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So basically, it's having a caregiver who lives in the client's home,
Okay.
and they can provide support and companionship 24/7.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's really good for people who need that high level of care,
Yeah.
but they want to stay in their own homes.
Right. A comfortable environment.
Exactly.
So they really do cover the full spectrum of needs.
Big deal.
Now, let's talk about pediatric care.
Okay.
That seems to be a real, passion point for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have this whole team of pediatric nurses, and they really understand all those unique challenges
Yeah.
that come with caring for medically complex children.
Yeah.
But what's so cool is they don't just treat the medical condition.
Okay.
They really involve the parents in every single step of the care plan.
Well, that's really important.
Yeah, so everyone's on the same page,
Yeah.
working together.
Yeah. Especially for parents who are probably feeling, overwhelmed and uncertain
Absolutely.
and maybe don't know what to do next.
Right.
So it really sounds like they empower families to be participants in that care.
Exactly. Yeah, they do a lot of parent education.
Okay.
Covering, everything from medication management to recognizing subtle changes in their child's condition.
Wow.
So it's really about giving those families that knowledge and the confidence
Right.
to handle all those complexities.
That must be so reassuring.
Yeah.
Especially for parents who are, dealing with all of that.
Right.
Now, I also noticed on the website they talk about school support.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
So it's basically this one-on-one care for kids with those medical complexities while they're at school.
Okay.
So that could be helping them with, daily functions like
Yeah.
eating or using the restroom, to providing that clinical supervision.
Wow.
And even transportation to and from school.
I did not realize they offered that level of care.
It's pretty amazing.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it really lets those kids participate in school fully,
Right.
which has huge social and developmental benefits.
That's fantastic. So
Yeah.
it's not just about physical health.
Right.
They're really looking at the whole picture.
Yeah, and I think that really speaks to their commitment to this holistic approach.
It does.
And also, I think they really focus on minimizing the impact of a child's condition on the whole family unit.
Right.
So by giving this level of support,
Mm-hmm.
they're easing that burden on parents
Yeah.
and letting them focus on other things.
That's so important.
Mm.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about their skilled nursing services.
Okay.
Because this is available for people of all ages.
Yeah, it is.
What sets their approach apart?
Well, I think what's really impressive is their commitment to expertise and training.
Okay.
So their skilled nursing services are provided by registered nurses, so RNs, and licensed practical nurses, LPNs.
Now, for those of us who don't speak healthcare lingo,
Right.
what's the difference?
Yeah, so RNs have a more comprehensive education,
Okay.
and they have a broader scope of practice. So they can do things like assessments, they can create care plans, administer medications,
Okay.
and provide a whole bunch of complex interventions.
Wow.
LPNs, on the other hand, they're more focused on direct patient care,
Got it.
and they usually work under the supervision of an RN.
Okay.
So they can help with things like medication administration, wound care, monitoring vital signs.
So they kind of work in tandem
Exactly.
to provide that full comprehensive care. Got it.
And Hi-Pointe goes a step further, and they make sure that their skilled nursing team is involved in every aspect of the client's care.
Oh, wow.
So from that initial evaluation all the way through
Oh, yeah.
the creation of the care plan,
Yeah.
and even the supervision and training of other caregivers.
So it's really about consistency and quality,
Yes.
no
Yeah.
matter who's providing that direct care.
Right. And they can handle a huge range of conditions, too.
Such a...
So like managing prematurity in infants,
Okay.
all the way to providing ventilator support for people of all ages.
That's a big range.
It is.
Very complex medical needs.
Absolutely. And, they specifically talk about the benefits of getting that skilled nursing care at home.
Yeah.
Especially for, like, elderly folks and people recovering from injuries.
So what are those benefits?
Well, for one, it can really reduce stress and anxiety for the patient.
Right.
Being in a familiar environment, surrounded by people they love, can really make a difference for their emotional well-being.
Yeah, it's not just about the physical care.
Right.
It's that emotional support
Exactly.
and comfort of home.
And these nurses go above and beyond just the medical care.
Okay.
So they can advocate for their clients,
Wow.
help them navigate that healthcare system,
Yeah.
Coordinate those appointments with specialists, even help with things like medication management
Okay.
and making sure they're eating properly.
So really managing their overall health,
Exactly.
the well-being.
Yeah. It's not just about that immediate medical issue. It's
Yeah.
about everything.
It's the whole picture again. Now, I'm curious about something I saw on their website. They mention cultural competency.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems like they're very intentional about serving a diverse community.
They are.
Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah. So it's all about providing that really patient-centered care.
Right.
And they realize that, cultural differences can affect healthcare preferences, communication styles,
Right.
even how people see illness and treatment.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so they train their staff to go beyond just basic awareness.
Right.
They really try to understand the values and beliefs and practices
Wow.
of the communities they're serving.
So it's not just a box they're checking off.
No.
They're really taking it seriously.
Yeah, it's not just we're culturally sensitive.
Yeah.
It's we're going to equip our staff with the tools to be respectful and responsive to all these different backgrounds.
That's really impressive.
And it goes beyond just the caregivers, too.
Well,
It's their whole organizational culture.
Wow. Like how they hire people,
Yeah.
communication materials. It's
Yeah.
all about creating that inclusive environment
That's right.
where everyone feels seen and heard and valued.
Now let's talk about senior care,
Okay.
because this is clearly something they're passionate about.
Yes.
And they seem to really be focused on helping seniors age in place
Absolutely.
comfortably and safely.
Yeah, and we're seeing this more and more. People want to stay in their homes
Yeah.
as long as possible.
Makes sense.
And Hi-Pointe really gets that.
Yeah.
And they offer a bunch of services to make that happen.
Like what?
So they help with things like errands and transportation, meal preparation.
Okay.
And they know that social isolation can be a big issue.
Yeah.
So they offer companion care, too.
Okay. What's companion care?
So it's not just about, like, practical help. It's about social interaction,
Right.
providing emotional support, and engaging seniors in, activities they enjoy. So they might play games, read books together,
Right.
or just, have conversations to combat that loneliness.
Again, it's about the whole person,
Exactly.
not just the, physical need.
It's that mental and emotional well-being, too.
Absolutely.
And Hi-Pointe really seems to get that.
So they're really tailoring the care plans to the individual.
Yeah, they know there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
So they work with families
Yeah.
to create these personalized plans.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So we've got skilled nursing, we've got pediatric care,
Right.
we've got senior care.
Yeah.
They've even got group homes for people with intellectual disabilities.
They do.
I mean, they really are committed to serving their community.
They are, and it's really inspiring.
Yeah.
Because they're not just providing services, they're actively working to address some of the systemic challenges in the healthcare system.
Yeah.
Like accessibility and affordability.
Right. And that's such a crucial point because,
That is.
I mean, we've barely scratched the surface here
Yeah, we've just started.
of what Hi-Pointe is all about. But I think it's clear.
Yeah.
They're doing some amazing work.
They are.
But we're going to have to take a quick break.
Right.
When we come back, we're going to dive deeper into their vision for the future and the challenges they're tackling.
Sounds good.
So stay with us. We'll be right back. So we were talking about Hi-Pointe's commitment to senior care.
Yeah, and something you mentioned earlier that I wanted to kind of circle back to was their advocacy work.
Oh, yeah.
Because they seem to be pretty vocal
They are.
about, addressing some of the systemic challenges that exist within the healthcare system.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Okay.
think they really understand that, it's not enough to just provide good care.
Right.
You have to advocate for policies
Yeah.
that make that care accessible and affordable for everyone.
So they're not just thinking about the people that they're serving.
Right.
They're thinking bigger picture.
Exactly. They're trying to create a more equitable healthcare system. Yeah. And they're not afraid to tackle some of the tough issues.
Yeah. Like, for example, they've been talking a lot about funding for home and community-based services.
Right, because those are often under-resourced.
Yeah, compared to institutional care.
It's kind of like you're trying to shift the paradigm from this idea of, putting people in institutions to,
Yeah.
Actually providing that care in the community.
Exactly. And not only is it often, better for the individual, but it can also be more cost-effective.
Right. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And they're also pushing for better workforce development
Okay.
in the home healthcare industry.
Because I imagine as the demand for these services grows, you're going to need more people
Right. We need more qualified professionals.
to meet that demand.
Exactly.
So they're not just, pointing out the problems.
Right.
They're really trying to be part of the solution.
Yeah, they're leading by example,
Right.
showing that, this kind of high-quality, compassionate home care is possible.
And essential
Yes.
for a truly equitable healthcare system. So inspiring.
Yeah, it is.
Now, I want to go back to the founder's story for a minute.
Okay.
We talked about her son, Jordan,
Yeah.
and her, kind of fight to keep him at home.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a little bit more about how that experience really shaped Hi-Pointe's philosophy?
Yeah, so, like we said, she was really facing pressure to institutionalize him.
Right.
But she just believed so strongly that he would do better
Yeah.
in that loving home environment.
Right.
And she fought really hard to make that happen.
I bet that was a really difficult battle.
It was, especially, back then
Yeah.
when home care wasn't as widely accepted.
Right. People probably didn't understand.
Yeah, she faced skepticism from doctors,
Wow.
even pushback from some family members who
Okay.
thought she was taking on too much.
That's a lot.
It is, but she didn't give up.
Wow.
She was driven by a love for her son
Yeah.
and that belief in the power of home.
So Hi-Pointe really is a testament to her advocacy.
Absolutely.
Not just for her son,
Right.
but for all the families
Exactly.
who are facing similar challenges.
And you can see that commitment in everything they do,
Yeah.
from those personalized care plans to their efforts to improve the system as a whole.
Okay. Now let's talk about their compliance practices,
All right.
because they seem to be really transparent
They are.
about their hiring process.
Yeah.
And the steps they take to ensure, the safety and well-being of their clients.
Yeah, I think they get it,
Yeah.
Trust is so important in this field.
Right. You're inviting these people into your home.
Exactly. It's your life, your family.
Yeah.
So they have these really rigorous screening procedures
Okay.
to make sure they're hiring the right people.
So, what do they do?
Well, they start with background checks,
Okay.
criminal history, verifying credentials.
Makes sense.
They do competency tests
Mm-hmm.
to assess skills and knowledge. Okay.
And, of course, they check references.
Right, to get a sense of their character.
Exactly.
So they're really doing their homework.
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't stop there.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
They have ongoing training and education for their staff.
Well, that's important.
Yeah. Keeping them up to date on best practices.
Yeah, because things are changing all the time.
Right. Home healthcare is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
New technologies, new approaches.
We got to stay ahead of the curve.
Exactly. And Hi-Pointe gets that.
Yeah.
They invest in their staff's professional development
Okay.
because they know education is key.
To providing that high-quality care.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go back to something we talked about before, which is the cultural competency training. Why is that so important in home health care?
Well, because it's such an intimate setting.
Okay.
You know, you're building relationships with people from all different backgrounds.
Right.
And you have to approach those relationships with sensitivity and respect. It's not just about giving them their medication.
Right. It's about understanding their needs, their preferences, exactly their background, their belief systems, how they communicate, even their dietary preferences.
All of that.
All of it.
Right.
Hi-Pointe recognizes that those things can really affect how people experience healthcare.
That's true.
And how they respond to treatment.
So it really is going beyond just awareness.
Yeah. It's giving the staff the tools to provide that person-centered care.
And I bet that's reflected in those testimonials we talked about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, clients are always praising the caregivers for their understanding, their respect, their ability to really connect on a personal level.
So they're really walking the walk.
They are.
It's not just talk.
And it sets a good example for other healthcare organizations.
Right. It's like, this is how you do it. Cultural competency is not just a buzzword.
Exactly.
It's essential.
Yeah.
Okay, now before we move on to talk about Hi-Pointe's vision for the future and their impact on the community, I want to touch on one more thing. Which is their group homes for people with intellectual and physical disabilities.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like a very natural extension of their mission. You have to provide this personalized care and support.
They know that not everyone does well in those traditional institutions.
Right.
And these group homes are meant to be
a
more inclusive and supportive environment.
So what are some of the key features?
Well, they prioritize what they call a person-centered approach.
Okay.
Which means they tailor the care to each individual.
Got it.
So they create individual care plans. They focus on skill development, social interaction, and community integration.
So it's not just a place to live.
No.
It's a place to grow.
Exactly, a place to thrive.
Yeah.
And they really emphasize choice and empowerment.
Interesting.
So residents have a say in their daily routines, their activities, even the decor.
Wow. So they really do have a voice.
Yeah, and it gives them that sense of ownership. Belonging.
Which is so important.
It is, especially for people who have been excluded or marginalized.
Absolutely. And I think it speaks to Hi-Pointe's overall philosophy, which is recognizing the dignity and worth of every individual.
Exactly.
No matter their abilities or challenges.
It all comes back to that.
It does.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From Hi-Pointe's range of services to their commitment to compliance. Cultural competency, advocacy, really impressive.
It is.
But I want to hear your thoughts on their impact on the community and their vision for the future.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we've talked about all these amazing services and, this commitment to really, high standards and diversity and inclusion. But I'm curious about their impact on the community. Like, how are they making a difference beyond just the individuals that they're serving?
Well, I think on a practical level, they're giving families a break. Families who are struggling to care for loved ones with complex needs.
Right.
They're offering things like respite care and school support.
Right.
So those families can work. They can, take care of other responsibilities or just take a break.
Right, because it could be so overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely.
To be a caregiver.
Yeah, it's a huge emotional and physical toll.
Yeah, so they're really providing that essential support system.
Exactly.
That allows families to not just survive, but thrive.
Right, and I think on a bigger level, they're challenging how society views disability and aging.
Okay.
So by advocating for community-based care and promoting inclusion, they're helping to create a more just and equitable society.
For everyone.
Yeah, exactly. It's about shifting the focus
Okay.
from limitations to possibilities.
I like that.
You know, recognizing that everyone deserves to live a full and meaningful life.
Absolutely.
No matter their abilities or challenges.
So they're leading by example.
Yeah.
Showing that a more compassionate and inclusive approach to healthcare is possible.
And essential.
Essential for the well-being of our communities.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of the future, what's Hi-Pointe's vision for growth?
That's a great question. And I think, you know, their website doesn't really lay out specific long-term plans, but their mission statement really suggests that they're committed to serving a wider population.
Interesting.
They say they're dedicated to improving quality of life for children and adults with medical complexities.
Not just in their specific area.
Exactly.
So it sounds like they might be thinking about expanding their reach,
It's definitely possible.
bringing this personalized care to more families.
Right, and given their passion for advocacy and, their commitment to addressing these big challenges, I wouldn't be surprised if they took on a bigger role. Okay.
In shaping the future of home care.
On like a national level.
Yeah, potentially.
That's really exciting to think about.
It is.
Imagine if their model of care was replicated across the country.
Yeah, it could really transform how we think about and deliver care.
To people with complex needs.
Absolutely.
It's a powerful vision.
It is, and it shows how organizations like Hi-Pointe
Yeah.
can be catalysts for change,
Yeah.
driving innovation and progress.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Hi.
we've uncovered some really inspiring stories,
Yeah.
innovative approaches,
Yeah.
a deep commitment to the community.
Mm-hmm.
But what does it all mean for you? Like, what resonates with you most about Hi-Pointe's story?
Well, I think for me, it's their belief in human connection.
Okay.
In a healthcare system that can feel impersonal,
Yeah.
transactional,
Right.
Hi-Pointe is really prioritizing empathy and compassion and genuine relationships.
Yeah.
They're showing that care isn't just about treating symptoms,
It's about seeing the whole person.
the whole picture.
Yeah, understanding their needs.
Yeah.
And being there with them on their journey.
I love that. And it's a reminder that we all have a role to play
Yeah,
in creating a more compassionate and caring society.
absolutely.
Whether that's supporting organizations like Hi-Pointe, advocating for better policies,
Yeah,
or just helping out a neighbor in need.
right. Every act of kindness matters.
It really does.
Yeah, and I think Hi-Pointe's story is a call to action.
Okay.
It reminds us that we can shape the future of healthcare
Yeah,
and create a world where everyone has access to the care they need.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So as we finish up this deep dive into Hi-Pointe Care Solutions, we want to leave you with this question.
Okay.
What will you do to contribute to a more compassionate and inclusive healthcare system?
How will you make a difference?
Something to think about.
Yeah.
And as you reflect on Hi-Pointe's journey, we hope you'll be inspired to embrace empathy,
Yeah,
the importance of advocacy,
absolutely.
and the power of personalized care. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope you enjoyed it.
And we hope it's given you a new perspective on home healthcare.
Yeah, and the incredible work being done by organizations like Hi-Pointe.
Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep diving.